Hello everyone, welcome to Auto House. Today we're on a CCM Maverick and I'm actually quite excited about one of these because I've been following the company for a couple of years now and I've never actually had the chance to go on one apart from now. So we're down here at Woodrow's Motorcycle Club in Swansea.
So catch me if I fall.
Right, so we have a 600cc single cylinder. It's a Husqvarna unit. It's got 55 horsepower and about 58 newton meters of torque. Braking wise, we have a J1 caliper, so we have a 4-piston at the front gripping a 280mm disc, and then there's a 2-piece at the rear as well. Suspension wise, we have a Marzocchi at the front and also at the rear with adjustable compression and rebound. And at the moment they're all kind of just set up in the middle, so nothing really too fancy, but it feels comfortable enough so far. I'm not finding it too hard or anything. The seating position is a little bit strange than what I'm used to, so you got these nice wide handlebars here, the gear lever down on your left hand side as well. The placement for that is a bit strange, but you very quickly get used to it. And then you have just this quite simple little LCD dash on there. I absolutely love these little bar end mirrors they've got on here as well. They look really cool, really suit the look of this bike, and that's perhaps the best thing about this bike is just how it looks. It's an exquisite piece of engineering. It is pretty much automotive art, you could call it that. I think it is one of the best looking bikes you can go ahead and buy right now. So going over the bumps, it doesn't seem too unpleasant. In fact, it feels very composed. This has got the obviously off-road bias tyres on it. The seat is actually really nice as well, so it's not something you'd want to ride on the motorway, and that's not what this bike is for at all. This is for blasting around, you know, your little B roads, your back roads, or if you want to, as one of the chaps at CCM showed me, you can take one of these off-road. Unfortunately, don't think I'm allowed to do that on this test ride. Maybe if I ask nicely. To the right of me is the Spitfire, which I'm also going to go on. Oh god, clutch is a bit weird on this, but that's because it's adjusted all the way out. That was cool. So let's talk about rider modes, and you have none of them. Well, really, there are no rider modes on this. There is no traction control on this. There is no ABS on this. It is a stripped back, bare bones bike, and that is just amazing that you can go ahead and buy something that is so raw and just so unrefined that it just makes it awesome. So the handling is actually quite good. It's a little bit strange to get used to first of all, because the bike is very short and you can feel that, and so you can lean it over. It's not quite as quick as you'd expect from like a Street Fighter style bike, but again, it's not what this bike is for at all, so it's easily forgivable that it doesn't do that and doesn't kind of change directions massively quickly, but you know, you don't want it to do that. I like the colour of this though. This is Maverick Emerald Green, I believe it's called, and it looks really nice. It's really cool. It's like the satin finish as well, but you've got kind of the metallic flakes in there. I don't know if you can hear this, but this sounds really cool for a little single. You ready? Yeah, that sounds cool. It's quite torquey as well, as you'd expect from a little single. But it's torquey in a nice way, like it's not like it wants to rip your head off and throw you back the minute you just look at the throttle, with obviously no traction control or ABS or anything like that. No rider modes. It's just, this is your rider mode right here, and kind of, oh dear, that was unpleasant. The only way to really control the rider modes is to just see how big your kahunas are, and on something like this, you know, you can throw it around, you can chuck it around, but around town it's really pleasant. You can see here you've got your little gear indicator, so that'd be first gear. second, third. This is actually really easy to read, and obviously there's direct sunlight on it as well, and this is so clear. It's a lot clearer, I say a lot clearer, than my Ducati TFT display, because when the sun's on that you can't actually read it at all, but this is super easy. The switchgear as well is actually quite decent. Obviously there's not a lot to it because there's nothing really to change on it. You've got your horn, your indicators, and then your full beam. And then here's your, I love this, you've got your kill and fire switch, and these are on like a lovely piece of billet aluminium. Really, really cool. So we've been on the bike now for about 10 minutes or so, and what I do like is just how narrow this bike is. I'm not very tall, I am pretty much a hobbit, but without the hairy feet, and I don't feel at all odd or displaced on this. I mean, I can't flat foot it, but I can put both feet down, so that's good enough for me. But just how narrow this bike is means you can really grip it when you want to. The front end does feel quite stiff, I have to admit, but it's also slightly reassuring. So if you kind of go to lean it or whatever, you aren't able to really turn the handlebars like you can on some bikes, and it's weird, but you get used to it quite quickly. I apologise for my my bad clutching, but the adjustment is here and I can't really do that on the fly. It's too far away from me. But the clutch is actually very nice and light on this. So the seat is lovely and leather, but when I accelerated I actually slid back on it then. I can't say I've ever experienced that before. That was very strange. So the Maverick is obviously CCM's approach at doing a Scrambler style bike. So you have your knobblies on it from the factory. It's quite high off the ground. I mean, they're all pretty much the same suspension setup. But if you did need to, you can obviously adjust your preload and your damping, all of that, and make it more off-road biased if you really wanted to. But the bike is so light, it weighs 150 kilos. And 150 kilos off-road is actually quite fun. So if you think everyone has adventure bikes and they actually take those off-road, some of those bikes are, you know, over 200 kilos, 250 kilos, which is a hell of a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, we have a tunnel, so I have to see what this is like. Ready? Yeah, it sounds good. I love the noise that they make. It's so reminiscent of older bikes. It just sounds absolutely fantastic. It does actually feel like a really special bike to be sat on, because you have all these lovely elements that you can see. You know, this lovely billet thing, the little dents in the tank there, and a man in the road. Hello, man in the road. And then obviously you have your Maverick edition. CCM only make 249 of each model they do, and the reason they do that is so you don't need your traction control and your ABS. They are able to keep it super bare bones, because the rule states that when you make 250, I believe it is, you then have to homologate them, so they have to do the crash testing and whatnot on them, and so that's how CCM get around it. Gearbox wise, we have 6 gears, and it's very easy to go up and down the gears. And what I do like actually is from a single, it's not immensely rattly. You know, my hand isn't going numb from holding onto the throttle, holding onto the bars. You have a decent amount of power. You have your 55 horsepower and your 58 newton meters of torque, and that's kind of all you really need on a bike like this. Because of what it is, this bike is built to just have fun on. It's just a stripped back, it is what it is, bare bones bike. It's awesome. I mean, you look there, you've got hyper motards, very nice. So Gas and Ducati hyper motard, they're of similar ilk, but they're obviously, you know, a lot more power and more fancy, shall we say. But this is not that. This is, you know, this is built to A, look good, B, have fun on, and C, look good, because it looks good. Ow. So I was actually speaking to one of the chaps at CCM who is down here at Woodrose, and he explained something really cool, that with the bikes, you can obviously go up to Bolton where they're based, and get them serviced there if you really wanted to, or they have a mobile option where they come to you and service the bike, and that's really cool. So they have obviously a mobile van that comes out and does it all for you. Neutral's very easy to find. And the kickstand is there you go. A little bit different for me.
So catch me if I fall.
And so, what are my thoughts on the CCM Maverick? Well, it is an exceptionally cool bike. Its on-road ability is a bit lacking, but what it can do and how it looks is just absolutely phenomenal. And if you are after something that goes completely against the grain, then take a look at one of these. Or if not, just have a ride on one, because they are so much fun.
You got it all on tap. I'm loving your vibe, always have your back.